In this episode, you get a breakdown of the principle and quote, "The darkness must be transmuted to light," and how spiritual alchemy is performed through presence. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. 3 things that you will learn today. Number 1, why trying to force things creates energetic blockages. Number 2, how to transmute unconscious pain through integrity and presence. And number 3, the power of feeling the depths to convert stored energy. When we look at the quote, "The darkness must be transmuted to light," it's broad, it is symbolic, and what we aim to do here is simplify the depth and meaning behind the words. So, you, in relationship to your own darkness, there's a practical way to not necessarily judge, but to understand what darkness even means to you. Because the 2 sides of the symbol here is dark and light. And we have the act of transmutation. That all has to tie together, meaning that you first look from the simple lens of understanding the components of the quote-unquote problem. The components show you that when you take the courage to look at the dark, then you're not looking in a manner or perspective of knowing. You're being vulnerable and looking at the uncertainty which is stored within that which you cannot see. The unconscious, the darkness, the confusion, the fog. You see, it all has a similar essence. The darkness isn't bad. We need to make sure that that is clear. The understanding is the love, the compassion, the strength, the power to look at the parts of yourself that you know can change. There's nothing wrong with you, and you're not a bad person if you feel moments of darkness. I use the label, the word darkness, in the sense that we are united. There really is no darkness nor any light. But simultaneously, for the purpose of communication and the furthering of why we are all on this planet, words are necessary. So then you look not to get to a certain place, not to have it this end destination, nor to be obsessed with achieving a specific state of consciousness. You look at your own darkness with the powerful, bigger picture foresight that you understand the individual creates the world. The world is the individual. The consciousness, although it is expressed through many forms, every human is made from the same consciousness. I like this example. I heard it recently. When you get choked or when you go unconscious, let's say you stop breathing air, the first thing that happens is you lose consciousness. It's not that your body disappears. It's not that you are dead. You lose consciousness. That's saying something. Now, we don't need to go into all different fields and draw all different forms of examples. What is important is that in understanding you see that you are another, yet you are yourself. We are separate, but we also are united. It is infusing that form of balance into your heart, soul, and life. That's how the dark changes to light. It is a holistic awareness of how a human works. And you are a human. But to understand the how, you have to see the part of you which is so beyond the human. All while still realizing that you are this body. And then what happens is there's a natural synchronicity that happens between heart, soul, and mind, where your life, the years you live in this specific form, you are not doing it from this perspective of me any longer. The me erodes, and the thing that creates starts to move through. When there is space, you need space, and that is the hard part. The hard part about transmutation is creating the space and all the subtlety which goes into eroding the me. Now, all this being said, you still function, you are still professional, you are sharp. Logic does its thing when it needs to, and your life is good, well-rounded. It is beautiful. So there has to be a balance in different ways. You're going to have to walk into the darkness and have the courage to have yourself torn down. You're also going to need a holistic life which balances the elements. You know, the word alchemy has a kind of background implication that there are elements, there are things that can be combined, yet they are not always combined, right? Think cooking, think like potions, think how nature works. Seasons, how too much sun is bad, but not enough sun, nothing grows. And let that seep into your heart, the way that you see every moment of life. Because then you are less involved in the obsession of the prison, which is what gets eroded. You see, the prison of your own mind. These are words my dad said to me before. He said he was trapped in the prison of his own mind. And that is one of the most torturous things that humans put themselves through. Notice I say put themselves through, but it is for the soul's changing and the awakening that we go through those flames. And it really is a question of, are you intelligent? Because if you're intelligent, then you'll learn how to see that you create what you are and how you feel. And that is a vicious cycle. And we all go through this cycle until somehow, some way, something changes. The heart awakens, the soul sparkles, and the light shines. Now, this doesn't mean perfection. This means change. This means honesty. This means a commitment to understanding both the seen and the unseen, and drawing kind of not necessarily like a forced investigation. But if you were to inhabit the energy of someone like Sherlock Holmes, do you really think he was too serious? Sherlock Holmes was probably enjoying the game that he was investigating every time that he did it. That sort of skeptical yet joyous, you are fully involved in what you do. Now, for that to happen, for you to transmute darkness to light, you're going to have to be in the dark to see what the dark does to you, to feel how it overtakes you, to see what you create when you are moving through the dark and the dark is moving through you, to see how you affect other people and how you change and alter the light through the darkness running you. That you have to be so deeply open and vulnerable and serious in your heart about changing, about understanding that the individual creates the world. The individual creates the world. As each individual changes, awakens, and renews, that will absolutely create a quake on this realm that is unheard of, that cannot be denied. The inevitable change from dark to light. It's within you, and it starts with you. And that's funniest, it's very difficult to logically comprehend. You cannot really logically comprehend it. That the individual is the world, and as each individual changes, that's the only way the world will ever change. It's the only way the world will ever change. And what you do is in each moment, you choose love over fear. You realize that you, the individual, life comes down to moments. Everything is within the moment. And that's why there's this obsession in the spiritual world about presence. And then you try to force presence, you see what that does to you. So I covered the quote. I think we're good on that. Let's look at point number 1. Why trying to force things creates energetic blockages. When you look at the current, the tides in the ocean, it's one of the easiest ways to explain this law. When you force against the current, especially a multitude of currents, like a riptide, the funny part about escaping a riptide is you don't try to swim back into shore immediately. You can't force yourself through that type of current. This happens in our life so frequently. What we need to do is learn how to enjoy the fact that we're in a riptide and go horizontal and wait it out and be patient. I don't know how long you're going to have to do that. Sometimes it feels like you don't know how much longer you can keep treading that water and keep swimming horizontal. But you have to, right? In life, sometimes when you know your heart's guiding you, you have to learn how to have this patience, this abundance, this presence, this joy, even if the logical situation like being stuck in a riptide is quite potentially treacherous. And when you swim horizontal, then you can get back to shore. But you have to kind of get out of that riptide. So you can't just go directly back to shore. You know, sometimes that's how life works. You don't just get what you want immediately. But then another story example that is so powerful, and I know it in my heart, and you know it in your heart, that it's true if you're honest. If you were handed everything you ever wanted right now, you would enjoy it for a period of time. 6 months, maybe a day, maybe a year. But there would come a point where you realize it was handed to you, that you didn't work for it. And if we're talking about your wildest dreams right now, like real dreams, aligned, honest, destiny, you wouldn't want your destiny to be handed to you. You wouldn't. So sit with that. If you disagree, hey, sit with that. I'm not saying you have to accept it. I'm saying that is just the truth. That's the nature of the world. And there's certain things that are absolutely irrefutable. So how do you transmute unconscious pain through integrity and presence? It's surely challenging because the first part is the fact that it's unconscious. You know, it's one thing if it's pain that you're conscious of, but when you're dealing with the deeper, maybe the traumas, maybe the things that your ego, it hurt so bad that you like blocked it out, you forgot. That's how the memory works sometimes. And if you're ever noticing yourself having these deeper memories about past periods that you seem to have forgotten, I would say that's kind of a healthy sign. Keep doing what you're doing, keep changing in alignment, because that's a healthy sign to see your unconscious areas start to be back in your field of conscious awareness. And when dealing with deeper unconscious pain, it is this integrity and presence that allows for the non-judgment of other people, things that may have happened to you, or things that you had done that may have been labeled mistakes in your psyche. When you're dealing with the unconscious pain, you have to have this humility and kindness, and it's not easy, but time and time again, you're going to go through this self-judgment and realize that the self-judgment creates more unhealthy spirals, that it's a vicious compounding game. And somewhere, somehow, you start to change your practical life to align with the awareness that you have of the nature of your psyche. Because you see, wait, my psyche is directly created through almost a vortex of components. My actions and my thoughts feed back into each other. The more I do certain action, the more I think certain way. And the more I think certain way, the more I do certain action. So you get this vicious sort of whirlpool effect. And hey, compounding works for you and against you. So that's what they mean when they say as above, as below. You need to have compounding work against you to feel how it works for you, right? So when you're living with the light compounds. When you're living in the dark compounds. And of course, there can be moments and varieties, right? 50 Shades of Gray. Like that is also implied in the nature of life. Now, did we cover fully number 2? You look without judgment. That's the summary of number 2. Now, number 3, the power of feeling the depths to convert stored energy. Interesting. What this means to me is that you have times and seasons where nothing's growing, but things are still happening. If you look at the bamboo metaphor, bamboo, it will sprout out of the ground and grow extremely fast. But the funny part about that is before it gets to that point in its life, it had to been underground for 10x the duration. So you need the bamboo to be underground, growing, unseen in the darkness for a while until it just shoots up and grows super quickly. It's just sort of the essence of when you are feeling the depths. Sometimes it's just, man, nothing's happening. This is hard. Why do I feel like this? You're asking questions. Things just don't feel right, and it feels like it's been a long time. But all that being said, when you do the work to be conscious, as present as you possibly can, even when your life isn't necessarily your dream, you get stronger and you convert naturally all pettiness, weakness, jealousy, fear, anger, hate. Does the list need to go on? You kind of get the vibe of the list. You naturally change all of that through being courageous, through taking a chance, through betting on yourself. When there's all this fear and doubt and being little, the only way that you can show yourself in the world that you will not stay that small is by taking a chance. And that's the power. The power is through calculated risk, through confidence tied to competence, through being open-minded, vulnerable, and willing to be a student, willing to be kind, willing to learn. You get that power through realizing I'm done living a victim life. I'm done blaming other people. I'm done doing certain things, being around specific environments. I'm ready to be the number one authority, the main character in my life. That's the power of feeling the depths. The only way you can ever see your life in that perspective is to feel the depths. And you'll get the dark. Like it'll come back to you every once in a while. No one's, Jesus was tempted in the desert. Everyone's going to have these temptations, and you just continuously, time and time again, show the light that you care, that you're aware, that you see that the individual creates the world. For me, it's not just about being the best you can be. It's about being the best you can be for the fact that you understand the nature of the universe. Because you are another and another is you, deep down. We use distinctions, sides of coins, metaphors. We use words to communicate that which is incommunicable. I thank you so much for listening. I'm truly grateful. Let's get into the recap. Number 1, actually, we're at 20 minutes already. I'm skipping the recap today. Yeah. So share this with a friend. If you enjoyed this whatsoever, if anything resonated in your heart, felt, made yourself feel, hey, share it with a friend. That's all I ask. And I did write a book. Check out the website. I know it can help some people out there. I know it can. So check out that book. It's in the description. Share it with a friend.